with no geographical boundaries. We believe in cultivating curiosity and transformation that is rooted in profound love. The COVID-19 pandemic has irrevocably shaped how connections are formed in congregations across the United States and the world. The Church of the Larger Fellowship is committed to being a resource within Unitarian Universalism and beyond. From worship to covenant groups, from classes to pastoral care, and from our monthly magazine Quest to our online community hub and our letter writing ministry, we have found ways to build connection and community even through the screen. We have been a model for ministry on the margins, providing services for isolated Unitarian Universalists, becoming a spiritual lifeline for our members in prison. The CLF supports the ministries of those who hold target identities: Blue, Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism; Trust, Transgender Religious UU Professionals Together; and Drum, Diverse Revolutionary Unitarian Universalist Multicultural Ministries, just to name a few. We know better than anyone how deep and meaningful connections can be formed, even from a distance. Unitarian Universalists have faced many challenges in these times, and we continue to persevere and fight for justice and equity for all people, especially during moments of crisis. We are proud to be a leader in this faith movement, and we invite you to get involved in our ministry. We strive to be a place where anyone from anywhere can find spiritual refuge anytime they need it. Welcome to the Church of the Larger Fellowship. We are so excited to bring you an all-new episode of The View. The View is a weekly Unitarian Universalist talk show discussing important faith-based topics from an anti-racist, anti-oppressive, and multicultural perspective. Every Thursday for the past 7 years, we have welcomed guests from every corner of the world. Our guests are writers, scholars, activists, and religious thought leaders who are shaping Unitarian Universalism and society for the 21st century and beyond. I hope today's show inspires you. Hope it builds your faith. Hope it gives you perspective to see the power of Unitarian Universalism at work in your life. Enjoy the message.
Hello, happy 2025. It's the first Voices of Unitarian Universalism VU show of the new year. I was born in 1970. It is wild to me that we are now in the year 2025. My name is Aisha Hauser. My pronouns are she and her. I have the absolute honor of being part of the co-lead ministry team of the Church of the Larger Fellowship, along with Reverend Dr. Michael Tino and Christina Rivera. I am a middle-aged brown woman with dark black curly hair that has a lot of gray in it. So it's salty with a lot of pepper. And I have glasses, and I'm wearing a keffiyeh, the symbol of what has become the symbol of Palestinian freedom. We will be talking about a ceasefire deal such as it is today. My co-hosts, DC Fortune, Michael, and Chris, are not here today. It has landed today. The VU has landed on a day where they all have many other and important responsibilities. Not that this isn't, this absolutely is. And sometimes the timing just doesn't align. So I am your host today, and I have honorary co-hosts, members of the Church of the Larger Fellowship Nominating Committee. The members will be talking about their dedication, commitment, and love of the CLF. We're going to be talking about leadership opportunities for a congregation with no geographical boundaries. We don't have a brick and mortar place. We don't have a building. So we exist 100% both online and through mail. We have a maybe 1,800, 1,900 member prison ministry, Worthy Now. So we have about over 1,800 incarcerated Unitarian Universalist members of the CLF, who some of them are now have access to iPads. So we have not only the View is on podcast, but so is our worship that's available to everyone. So welcome. It is cold here, and I'm in Seattle, Washington. I don't know if I mentioned that. And I'm now, so for the kind of world news roundup, I'm going to introduce my honorary View co-hosts who are also part of the CLF Nominating Committee. Doreen Christiani, resident of Elgin, Illinois, United States, has been a CLF member since 2022 and in CLF leadership since 2023. Rachel Wade Harper is in Central Kentucky and has been a member since 2023. And this is your first year in nominating committee. And Heather Gatlin, member since 2021 and is a violin teacher in Canada, just north of me. Hi, Heather. British Columbia, Canada, is a CLF pen pal and a member of the board of trustees of the CLF. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being not only here as the CLF nominating committee, and we'll talk about leadership opportunities, but also as my honorary co-host. I should have brought my, I have a magic wand that's upstairs, but I anoint you co-host of The View. Welcome also. Let us know what we start with is the weather, then we'll go into news, and then we'll go into our topic. So here in Seattle, it is gray and cold because it's January, and it's, it's a little startling for me when it's colder than 40 because I'm like, no, you're allowed to be cold up to 40, but down to 40, but colder than that, I'm not into it. So any of you, what's the weather like where you are?
Well, I love that it is sunny. My desk is like reflecting onto my face in Central Kentucky, but we still have a lot of ice and snow that we are dealing with. But I am thrilled with the sunlight today.
How about you, Doreen?
Well, here in Chicagoland, I'm just outside of Chicago, and we are having a heat wave. We have surpassed the freezing point, so we're at 34 Fahrenheit. And so that's a good thing. I suppose everything's relative, and just came back from vacation. I got as far as the Caribbean. I didn't get to wear shorts even once, so I feel a little bit, cheated there. So I don't know. I might have to turn up the heat and just put on shorts too.
It was too cold in the Caribbean. Yikes.
Oh, yes. Anyway, so glad to be with everyone here. So what's going on in Canada, Heather?
Well, Doreen, I'll confess that we have turned up the thermostat to about 90 degrees.
Heather, you're going in and out.
The palm tree.
We're having a little trouble hearing you, Heather.
Your sound is going in and out.
Okay. Yeah. How about now?
Now it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're good. I confess that we have put up the palm trees and the thermostat to about 90 degrees in January. I have a picture of it on my Facebook.
That's hilarious.
So this is BC, Canada. I am on Vancouver Island. We are actually waiting for a snow here in Cumberland, just outside of Comox Valley, and have not gotten it. Kind of odd. We're a little warmish for this time of year. It's bright, little cloud, and life's good out there. We're looking for some more rain and snow, though.
You know who needs rain is California. The wildfires, prayers to everyone who is not only impacted, but fighting it. They are having incarcerated men fight the fire people. There's so many layers of complexity. I do want to mention on the CLF Facebook page, someone had asked, what is the CLF doing to help our members? And then the person asked twice. And I was really I did respond, and I kind of sat with it for a minute because I feel like it's an existential question. What are we doing, right? Because we can't do anything about the fire. I mean, the four of us and the CLF staff, we can't go there. We could support our members, but what is it that we're doing? And I immediately said, we're going to be amplifying today. So look on our social media platforms. We're going to be amplifying mutual aid networks, and there are a few of them that are on the ground to support people directly. The larger existential question is, I think, what at least I've been sitting with, not only about the fires, but about, we're going to talk about the ceasefire in a minute, what's been going on in Gaza since October 8th, 2023, is what are we doing, right? Like, it's such a meta question because the truth is, there is only so much we can do, and there's a lot we can do, right? So I think bearing witness is our theme for February at the CLF, is sacred. Bearing witness is sacred because it is through bearing witness with authenticity and in the reality in which we are existing, that is the only way we can work to make things differently, things different. So prayers to everyone impacted. And there are UU congregations that are impacted, obviously people of all faiths, and it is devastating, and we're all going to be impacted by climate change in the most unexpected ways. So prayers to everyone impacted. There has been a ceasefire announced. I wish I could share that I was thrilled to hear that. I mean, obviously, it's like it's so much devastation and horror. It took me a few months to talk about Gaza without crying. I mean, I remember at least one or two sermons that I could barely get through. So I'm hopeful. I hope, because I don't know that human international law means anything anymore. So let's hope that this ceasefire is real. The most bizarre thing that I've been reading is angry Israelis, like angry people saying, "Well, I don't know, angry." I'm like, but I thought this was all about the hostages. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I'd love to hear from the three of you. Yeah, your thoughts.
For me, the biggest, I just am so frustrated with how long things take. Like, okay, now we're doing the ceasefire. I mean, thinking about the whole last year, but in addition to that, it's not just today, stop, right now. It's, okay, well, let's plan that for Sunday. I'm like, really? So that's part of it. I'm having the too little, too late kind of feelings and just frustration. What the heck? Why did this take so long? And why does it seem to be the incoming folks that are, making this happen? Like, yo, Democrats, what's been happening? So it's a lot of frustration from my part and kind of disbelief. Like, yeah, I don't know if I can believe this. I don't know if I can trust this.
Yeah, and for me, yes, happiness, guarded optimism, but it is tempered also with thinking about those who have lost people and they're not coming back. Families who will get remains back finally, and that is not nothing, but still really grief over that. And those things that it's so painful that I can hardly look at it in my mind about people returning home, but that home is just devastation. And so I'm hoping it's the beginning of something, but it's such a long road, even in the best of circumstances, because we're not rebuilding over some empty space, rebuilding over unimaginable grief and devastation and just ruin. So, my heart's with all of the families, happy for the families where people will come home, and those people even who come home will be forever changed.
Yeah. Heather, do you have any thoughts? Yeah, and you could pass. You don't have to.
What you all have said, and I am just stunned that some synagogues in Canada and the U.S. have taken the Zionist line and position and are clinging to it. I can't even. It's complicated. I'm aware, and I can't even. Kind of confused as to how people get there and stay there with everything going on.
I actually will say it's not that complicated. I think I know that the complication is in terms of generational trauma, and that has been the reason given for this. And the United States let this happen. Not only actively. So I follow an author named Sim Kern, who is an anti-Zionist Jewish person in Texas. Yes, Rachel. Yeah. So Sim Kern has been commissioned by the only Palestinian-owned publishers to write a book. The title is Genocide Bad, because that's a book that needs to be written in 2025. And they came on TikTok yesterday and said they've been following Haaretz and the Lancet. I mean, media that's alternate to what we are exposed to here in the United States, and they're saying clearly the reason for the ceasefire is Israel is in danger of imploding. This is not even about the incoming administration. I mean, the timing appears that way, but it is that Israel cannot. Genocide is expensive, it turns out, and horrific and awful. But within the Israeli society, Israel is being impacted not by bombs, but by people are leaving. They have a brain drain. People are moving out. The infrastructure, people are angry, have been angry at Netanyahu, but it is not just Netanyahu. One man does not do this. So let's be clear. It is the systems that are supporting this. It is the United States. Yeah. So what you take, you meet your destiny on the road you take to avoid it. And so, thank you. Rachel is sharing the link. We will share the link in the show notes. And so I think it is super important to name that if Israel wasn't if the Israeli society wasn't being so heavily impacted in the way that is being reported, and you could look up Haaretz yourself. They do have an English version. I don't read Hebrew. And the Lancet, I believe there's a report that other people can read, but and follow anti-Zionist Jews, Jewish Voices for Peace, follow Norman Finkelstein, follow a podcast called Bad Hasbara, who are Jewish people who they had Naomi Klein, they had Deborah Winger the other day. They've had really important journalists and Palestinians and anti-Zionist Jewish people who are very clear. Not only does there need to be a ceasefire, there needs to be an end to the apartheid. There needs to be an end to the terror perpetrated on the Palestinians.
Yep.
Yes, the Israeli hostages need to go home. And this cycle of violence is what we're talking about. Nothing happens in a vacuum. And when people say you can't put October 7th in context, you have to put October 7th in a context, right? Anyway, so prayers and pray. And I agree with you, Heather. When I heard that the ceasefire is happening a few days from now, it's like, oh, you want to get the last bombs that you have just sitting around, and it is so gruesome. It's like I don't even know the enormity of how vile and evil that is, to say in a few days we're going to stop bombing you. So thank you, LJ Williams, our producer, who is here. And I want to say hi, a shout out to Darby Lockridge, who is our CLF board treasurer. So the links, you can find them in the show notes to get genocide bad, because in case anyone was confused. Go ahead.
And Aisha, can I say that Sim, Kern, and Interlink Books, when you buy this deluxe edition, it'll be signed by Sim, and also 10% right off the top profits go to help Palestine.
Thank you. And it is a pre-order. I pre-ordered
Yes.
it. It'll be out in March. So I pre-ordered it. I want them to have as many orders as humanly possible. The thing that I want to, for those who are first-time listeners, to know about the Church of the Larger Fellowship is we center liberation. We center humanity. We center love, and we are unapologetically on the side of life. And that means children's lives, so we should ban guns. We or at least semi-automatic weapons. You know, I think we should ban all guns. But okay, hunters. I live in Washington State. I've heard from many hunters that they need to hunt. Okay, but let's not have children killed. I love that about us. I love how unapologetically we center community love and liberation and try to model that. So one of the things I do want to bring up, there is a boycott, divest, sanction movement. And when I found out that the platform Wix was in Tel Aviv, I switched. So I am now on Squarespace. So just to, and Rachel, you had a couple of other really cool alternatives to Google and even search what are they? I'm such a Luddite. What are they like? Google, DuckDuckGo.
So before we jumped on, I think Firefox is great. So that's a great entry point for a browser that will help keep your data safe and where you're going, etc. But I've been using DuckDuckGo as my browser, and I was sharing the fun parts of it are that whenever you open a new tab, it shares how many times attempts to track you have happened. So this is my first time on Restream, the way we're streaming today, and I have been on here 22 minutes. So in 22 minutes, Restream has tried to track my data 805 times so far. So that's a lot.
That sink in.
And lots of places do it. I did want to mention TikTok, and I know we're going to talk about that a little bit, but so far TikTok hasn't tried anything today. So just to give some perspective, there are certainly some places that track more. The other place I want to mention is CryptPad. That's the Google Suite substitute, and I think I put that link somewhere that LJ is going to put with the show notes. I have not tried it. It's open source, and so many folks are on Google and use Google Suite for so many things. I'm also moving to Squarespace from Wix. And then I'm looking into Proton Mail. And we should have been doing this from the beginning. Like, it's kind of like, duh, on some level. But, when was the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago.
Right.
When is the second best time? Today. So, you do what you can do. And,
Yes.
like trying to get off of Facebook. So here at CLF, focusing more on our Mighty Network forums and ways to connect with folks that's a little more private. Just whatever we can do to keep our data, but also to kind of educate ourselves on what all is going on behind the scenes when we're searching for stuff.
Speaking of data, so here's TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I love TikTok. I'm one of the people who has enjoyed TikTok immensely, especially once I started living on my own, January 1, 2021. I'm like, this is so entertaining. I've gotten I've learned a lot. And somebody got the idea. It started actually with the administration before this one. And I am trying very hard not to say certain names because I just don't want to. We have a lot to talk about, and that doesn't need to be one of them. But the TikTok ban started and then continued by Biden. And so it's supposed to end in 4 days. And Americans, the ornery fuckers that we are, got to say the word fuck during the view.
So petty.
So petty. We are the United States of petty.
Loving it.
And what so the whole thing was, mind you, TikTok is Singaporean. Like, remember the whole Tom Cotton and the CEO, he was like, he's like, I'm Singaporean. Like, Singapore's a whole, I don't know that Tom Cotton knows Singapore's another country.
Right.
Anyway, but ByteDance, the parent company, is in China. So what do TikTok users do? Go over to an app owned by the Communist Party, by China, called the Little Red Book. And the funny part is one of the developers of it actually was educated at Stanford, said, oh no, it's not named after the Little Red Book by Mao Zedong, the communist. It's not that. It's because Stanford's colors are red. I go, boo. Who are you talking? I don't even care. It could be that. And in millions, and not only now is it Americans, British, or people all over the world, because we're an entertaining group. People can be pissed at the United States for a lot of reasons, the government. But as a collective, we are an entertaining bunch. And watching on TikTok are the international folks being sad. A, they make the most money off of us. And B, they just are entertained by us because we got to admit, we're just. But the FU to Mark Zuckerberg, to Facebook, to Twitter, Elon Musk, is like they literally. And then this is alarming, funny and alarming. Apparently, like, younger folks are using as their username their social security numbers. I'm like, here's my data. I said, the auntie and me and the mom and me is like, oh no, listen, just you don't need. They're like, here, where's and then the dialogue has been absolute. Hey, Chinese spy, I've missed you. Where? And then the memes looking for my Chinese spy. It's been. The two most propagandized groups of people, China and America, are now just, now I've heard, okay, so I can go down, I've been going down rabbit holes for a couple of days now, but it's been, I didn't expect that. Did not see that coming. What?
I think it's amazing, and I will share that I got on Duolingo, and they do not have Mandarin specific, but they say Chinese, and I've been doing it, and I know several foods now. This has been like 3 days. And I do want to share, I just saw a TikTok before we hopped on here that indicated, again, I have no resources here for this, but I just saw that the incoming administration has actually been asking to postpone the ban. Since the inauguration is on the 20th, and it's, we don't want to have too many things going in one day. But the audacity to now be saying, no, we're going to say that we're flipping sides.
Did you say you wanted that TikTok?
It's so weird. So weird.
I think it's just a beautiful thing because no matter what happens with this whole kabuki thing where they're trying to say they're protecting our data. Suppose they completely say, oh, never mind with the TikTok ban. I think that door is open. That door has been busted down. And I think it's been such a beautiful awakening of Americans and the populace to the Chinese and everyone else, the populace, because in 2016 it was such a painful thing to travel internationally, but we all have to embrace that difference between who may be in power in a certain country versus the populace. And when people start going on to Red Note, oh my goodness, and learning some Mandarin and just interacting and just being respectful. This is their platform. And some of the Chinese folks, well, everybody being, oh my gosh,
They're
this
confused.
American guy topless doing a pole dance, and they're, wow, yeah, those things about Americans. So yeah, we are so unserious and serious at the same time. So I think even if the TikTok ban goes completely away, there's no closing that door.
Yeah.
So I intend to be on both platforms. If TikTok doesn't go away, I'll be there. I'm on various platforms, and I just love that. So I'm really here for the pettiness, for the just taking back that freedom.
Yes.
Well, and you know the phrase like what radicalized you. So as I've been learning about Red Note, well, I'm calling it Red Note. There's lots of names for the red, Chinese name that we cannot pronounce very well collectively. But someone was talking about, have you seen one of their grocery hauls? In China, they can actually buy freaking groceries. And if that doesn't radicalize you, like, envious of grocery buying, that says a lot to me.
Well, somebody had commented on another creator's China has all these human rights violations, which they do. And the person went line by line and said, and here's how we're violating human rights in the United States. And here's how we're violating that human right. There is nothing we can say in the United States about China, including, because one of the things is that China, the factories that make the iPhones, we have prisoners who are incarcerated, who are forced to make clothes for manufacturers that are sold at high prices. So please we have that too. We have it under the guise of the the carceral system. So please, there is nothing that China's doing that we're mining data. We just think it's okay if Facebook owns it rather than, and as Rachel, thank you for pointing that out. Every week I've been giving Restream a lot of information. Cool. I'll be switching to DuckDuckGo after this episode. Not that I didn't know that, but the eggs in we have to talk about H5N1 too real quick. And then I promise we're going to switch right to the nominating committee. So I want to say, because we may or may not have a pandemic looming, please Black Jesus and all that is holy. And let's hope it doesn't go human to human. So chicken, right. There have been millions of chickens that have had to been what they call culled because they caught the bird flu. It's jumped to cows. So in California, I think price gouging it is an unfortunate, along with war and guns and oppression, an American pastime is price gouging. So some eggs, somebody typed $20 a dozen.
Yes.
But just.
And folks, it has like H5N1, according to whatever research I saw on TikTok, has like 100% fatality rate in cats.
Yes.
And that big cat sanctuary lost like 30 cats. Yes. Dolphins, they've had dolphins die. It's just like, this is serious, folks. This isn't just nothing. Oh, it's just the flu. No, it's not.
No.
Yeah, and that's where, because one of my central worries these days is rejection, the death of expertise, rejection of science. And things that may seem healthy, like, say, ingesting raw milk, it's such a very bad idea right now, because that's what killed the kitty cats. Cats on farms drinking raw milk, which apparently with dairy cows, is not fatal to them, but decreases milk production. And so, there's virus in that raw milk, and the cats that drank that, it's proved fatal to.
Yeah.
So humans, not such a good idea drinking raw milk these days, but we have to believe people who know about that. So when we lose respect for expertise, I think that's one of the central things of human progress, human civilization, that I no longer have to know how to build a house, weave my clothes, grow food, everything. That's the point of civilization and specialization. Somebody knows how to play the violin. I know a little bit about computing. So if we lose that, I mean,
Yeah, and
it's
just
our fault, but it's going to be our own fault if we don't make it.
and just to say that, you know, this concept that, you know, science is always changing, so how can it know anything really? Oh my gosh. Yeah, science changes, thank goodness.
That's how science works.
That's
It's
how
how it
science
goes.
works. Maybe it's like a verb. It's a process, the scientific method. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll just leave that right there, I think.
Don't
Oh.
start me on that.
So I
No,
want to
no,
invite
no.
people watching to this fabulous group of people who are part of the CLF Nominating Committee. And what we want to talk about is the church, the uniqueness of the Church of the Larger Fellowship, and opportunities to serve, not only on the board, but we have worship every week. We have classes. We have right now, covenant groups are on a little bit of a hiatus, but Rachel, I owe you an email, and if maybe I'll actually email the three of you if you want to lead covenant groups. But the thing about what I love about this conversation is it models who we are as a congregation. We are a congregation without walls. We gather in the ways that we are able right now, thanks to the magic of the internet. And I agree with, we talked before we got on the air that it's magic. I agree with you, Rachel. It's magic, the magic of the internet. I don't know how it works, but it's working. We get to talk to each other. We get to interact. We get to affirm each other. We get to share stories. And we get to witness each other being human, because none of us are experts at being human. I don't care what any school anybody went to. That is the fact. None of us are experts at being human. And so I'm going to now turn it over to the three of you. What are some opportunities? What do you want folks to know? And what made you join the CLF? What do you love about the CLF?
Well, for me, this is all the stuff we're talking about is what caused me to push the button to join. I've been a UU for 24, 23 years, and I always wanted to be way more progressive than any of my brick and mortar churches ever seemed to be. And so when the ministry team talks about Palestine, when we talk about abolition, when half of our members or over half of our members are incarcerated folks, that to me is why I'm here. I want to be able to say, no, I don't think it is complicated. I don't, when folks are but Hamas, no. We're talking about different stuff here. We're on a different page. So that's what really brought me here. And I've always volunteered at other churches. I enjoy small groups. I was telling the nominating committee yesterday, I consider any committee I'm on another small group, because we check in and we get to know each other, and we make deeper conversations, deeper connections than we ever can at a service. You know, I'm a spiritual director by trade after being a homeschool mom for over 20 years. And for me, looking at volunteering, that's part of my spiritual practice. It's a practice of connecting and putting my energy behind things I believe in, ministries that I believe in. That's what I want to do with my life, is be a ministry, be connected to other people and humans. So that's part of my blurb. Go ahead, others.
So for me, I am not UU by birth. I was raised in the Christian Lutheran faith, but and I always had a sort of a not complete sense of belonging, or just organic belief. honest belief. So in my 20s, 30s, so I guess now that this is coming up, I realized for better part of 3 decades, I was, in that Christian Lutheran faith. And now around my 30s, I discovered, I didn't so much join the UU churches. I discovered, oh, that's what I am. I'm Unitarian. So I've been that ever since. So fast forward a couple of UU brick and mortar congregations I had just coincidentally in the height of the COVID pandemic, another sort of crisis of belonging, this time more in the diversity area. So I found that really the CLF, the difference there is that diversity is organic and natural for us as a global congregation rather than aspirational. It doesn't mean that we are perfect people, but when we find those areas, a little oops, it's an opportunity for growth. And sometimes growth is a little painful, from accidentally misgendering someone or triggering someone to learning calculus. Sometimes growth is painful, but it's always worth it.
Yes.
So that's why I'm here. And, and I feel that sense of really belonging.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you too. How am I going to say anything different now? Well, to carry on with what Doreen was just saying, in moments of growth and struggle and insisting on the worth of everyone, that we are all worthy now, and making sure that we are living through that idea and that heart. And I'm on the board, and I am the non-con liaison to the board. And we do hard stuff. We do. And we are holding each other up so much through the hard stuff. And leaving the time and the space and the reverence to get there in the time that it takes. And just to have that happen in that way is so rare, folks. Every time I jump into something new that I can get involved in CLF, it happens that way. And it's so precious and it's so amazing. Yeah. Just the way that even my first conversation about being on the board went was, holy, I never thought about myself that way. I never thought about the way that I was able to step forward and be exactly who I was, with the strengths that I had, imperfectly, and serve like that. Incredible. Of course I want to be here.
Oh, I love you all. I mean, I love the CLF. The thing I was saying, every time I go on vacation or I take time off, this is the first job I've had in my entire life. And I no shade to the brick and mortars I work for. I love you all. But I always looked forward to coming back to work. I love my work, my career, but it was a little more of like, oh, now I gotta, the to-do list in my brain, where with the CLF, and again, it's not perfect. It's not that I don't have a long to-do list. It's that we get to be fully human with all that comes with it. We have had to work through some serious challenges, right? Yeah. And I think to be in a space where we live what it means to be human in a way where we are not asking people to be other than who they fully are. And I think it was Lori Stone, our former director of technology, who coined the phrase "worthy now." And I believe, as the story goes, it came from the Christian idea that your soul is saved We believe your soul is awesome just the way it is right now. If you believe in a soul, who you are worthy now. You don't need to wait to be worthy. You don't need to wait till Sunday like the Palestinians do for a ceasefire to be worthy. You are worthy right this second. The other thing about the leadership team, so up until the three of us, CLF was only led by exclusively ordained ministers. And I think what is beautiful about the three of us is we have a diversity of leadership in all the ways. Michael is an ordained Reverend Doctor, so also a PhD. I am credentialed in religious education. I'm also a social worker. And Chris is a lay minister. She is not credentialed and an amazing leader. So she's a lay minister. So we have this beautiful diversity of leadership and diversity of the board, of the nominating committee. And we posted, thank you, LJ, in the show notes, leadership, what's the word? Wow. Application form. Go ahead, Rachel.
So yeah, thank you for posting that. We now have 3 forums. We added another time at 11 Eastern on January 24th for anyone who couldn't come to the other times.
Can you say what the forum is? Because we didn't introduce that
So,
yet.
yes, yeah. I will. Yeah. So regardless of what you think you might want to do, or if you have any idea what that means, please, if you're interested in being more involved, consider signing up for a forum. It is about volunteer positions, and I've got the list in front of me, so I'm going to read some of it. Like the coffee hour host. Every week after the Sunday service, one volunteer, this is not staff, this is just volunteer-led, we show up and have a chat after the service. You could be a host there. You can participate in worship. Record a video for the offering, or even a reading, or honestly, my children and I have been thinking about doing a song, but we haven't pitched it yet, so don't hold your breath. A covenant group leader, once we get the covenant groups going. Yeah. You can be a pen pal to one of our incarcerated members. We have a large amount of incarcerated members that would love to be a pen pal, but we don't have enough volunteers. So we have an annual meeting moderator, and also every year we have, I cannot remember the number, maybe you can remember it, Aisha, we have like 10 GA delegates. How
13.
many? 13. We need folks to go to GA and represent our congregation. And that's just the list that we've come up with. Fundraising committee, personnel committee, finance committee. There are lots of ways, and you may even have a way that we haven't thought of. Yes. We want to add it to the list because we are, I will admit, I have a degree in religion. So the church is not the building.
No.
The Greek word for church means the people who are coming together and creating this beloved community. That's what church is. You watching, all the people on here, all of our incarcerated folks, we, the human bodies, are the church. And our way to connect one way can be to help to volunteer and to be a part of these things. Come to coffee hour. Even if you don't want to host it, join us, join the conversation. So that's what we'll talk about at the forum. All the ways that you can get involved. Yeah. We'll hear stories just like we shared. Why the heck are you here? Why do you love CLF? We're going to talk about that, and you'll get to know some people. So that's what's going to happen in the forums.
Yeah, and I just want to underline one of Rachel's points, which is that especially if you've had experience in leadership at brick and mortars, board membership committees, things like that, I think you'll find that the center of gravity really of leadership at the CLF is different, because in brick and mortars, a lot of that work is centered on the nuts and bolts of just keeping the physical plant going, local regulations, things like that, and to a lesser extent, unfortunately, the aspirational goals of the church, the strategic goals of the church. But with CLF leadership, I think you'll find that the reason for being for the CLF, the strategic work of the church is more centered. The spiritual functions, that's really why we're all here, not to keep lights on and land management, things like that. So it's really more a labor of spirituality and helping people doing the work of this church. So come in, let's talk about that and compare, contrast your past experiences with belonging to the CLF and leadership.
Amen. I do want to answer a question. I don't know if anything we said would lead anyone to believe that our incarcerated members are only of one gender. Someone asked, are the incarcerated folks only male? No, they're all genders who are part of our community. To me, one of the things I learned after actually, I have been on The View longer than I've been in CLF leadership. I was a volunteer. I don't know, a good 7-8 years. And Reverend Meg Riley, when she was the senior minister, she said that every time Black and Pink, the advocacy group for the LGBT community, would mention the CLF, how we are inclusive in every way and affirming, we'd get an influx of incarcerated folks. And incarcerated folks minister to each other and evangelize way better than we do out in the world. Say, hey, you want to feel loved, and here, read this. In Quest, when we transitioned to the leadership team, the lead ministry team, we included way more voices and submissions from incarcerated members so that people can read the beautiful poetry, reflections, thoughts of people who are incarcerated because of a deeply, deeply unjust system. We will be talking more about abolition in the coming months and what that means. And so we can go down a lot of rabbit holes. And I appreciate, oh my gosh, please go to the forums, even if you're, just even thinking about what it means to be part of the CLF. I think if you're a member, please go to the forums to find out the ways you can be in leadership. And if you are not a member, go to the forums and get to meet folks. It is a truly, when I say soul nourishing place, and as one of the lead team, it has brought me to tears, the love and affirmation I've felt here from you all. And I'm deeply, deeply appreciative. And we do fundraise. So we don't have to keep lights on in terms of physical lights, but we do need to raise money. So if you are a very wealthy billionaire with a conscience, feel free to give us $10 million so we can continue to do the amazing work that we do. Or if even a multimillionaire with expendable income, you can give us $500,000. So, you can be creative. That's with right. What you have. And if you are not a billionaire millionaire, you can send us $5 or $10. We do we try to pay as fairly as we can for our entire staff. We do offer healthcare after a certain number of hours. We try to be responsible employers. Mm-hmm. And we live in the United States where, depending on where you live, eggs are $20 a dozen. So there is the reality, unfortunately, of living in a violent, extractive capitalist system. We have 6 minutes left. And Heather, if you want to talk a little more about what it's like on the board, and I will whatever other thoughts that have come up for everyone.
Sure, yeah. I had misgivings about putting myself on the board. And I went to the forum anyway. I have this habit of jumping in and finding out. And it has taken me to some of the best places I have ever been within CLF and within wide world things. I am a chaser of that which is deeper. Mm-hmm. And where I don't find it, I don't go. So yeah, I play violin in orchestras and little groups and with choirs and things like that. And where I feel that tingle go through my whole body is where I live. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but this is how it manifests in the way I can feel it. So here I am. I'm kind of looking for online UU space during COVID. Oh, what is this CLF thing? Oh, they have something on Sunday. Well, I'll tune in. Okay. Yes. Amazing. All right. So at the end of the CLF thing, after about 5-6 months of going, I'm actually able to register that they want somebody to host the coffee hour. And they have great coffee hour hosts, and they're amazing, and they hold each other up, and they get through the problems of Zoom and of PowerPoint together and train each other. And it's amazing to be part of that group, and the questions that we host bring everyone closer together. Okay. So how come this is happening through the screen way better than at my brick and mortar? I got to figure this out. All right. So await, abolition, pen pal. You do that too? Yeah, fine. Yeah, sign me up. Okay. And then I found out the pen pal people needed people to check their lists for who is incarcerated where, who are CLF members in each state. So now I'm working with a fellow in Washington State to check the Washington State rosters to make sure that these folks are getting their mail to the right place. He's an amazing fella. I haven't met anybody in CLF that wasn't striking me in that way. So I thought, okay, here's a big ask for the board. I'm going to show up for the forum. What's going to happen? They're going to go blah, 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 blah. No, it's welcome. We are so happy that you are here. What is it that you think that you bring? And how is it that you have brought that all together for us to share together? And where do you think that fits? And here's something that we have. And where are you on this? It was absolutely not a lecture. It was a soul affirming and life-giving, wow, I could do this. So that's how I got to board. And working with board was an amazing thing. I got brought on so thoroughly and was able to articulate ways in which I thought I probably could not serve as well as other people, and brought into a place where I am just motivated and able to motivate and to bring different perspectives that the board may not have. Whether I can cook, whether I can clean, whether I can, whatever it is that needs doing in the nuts and bolts of it, I am worthy right there in the moment. Board's not a bad thing. We do hard things together. Absolutely. We've had some tough discussions in this last year, and we have held each other up through it all. That's being on the board.
Whew.
I would love to see people there.
Yeah, thank you. We lost Doreen. I'm probably technical difficulties because again, we don't know how the internet works. I don't. I'll speak for myself. It's magic. Thank you all. I mean, this has been really an amazing show. We will be on podcasts and within the week. We'll be on and we live on YouTube. And thank you, everybody. Rachel, we got one more minute. Do you have a last message? And then we will say thank you so much.
Just that we are building our volunteer base, and we don't know everything we don't know. And we need folks. It's not just the board. It's not just the nominating committee. There's lots of spots. So if you're interested at all, please come to the forum.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You have filled my cup. I am the first show of 2025 is off to an amazing, soul nourishing, life affirming, to quote Heather's start. So Doreen is back to say goodbye.
Yes, sir.
Thank-
So anyway, just came back to say, please, everyone, join us. Find your best place.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Blessings. Oh, so great to see you. Ciao.
Great to see you.
Thank you for joining us. Special thanks to those of you who give generously to this ministry. It is because of you that this ministry is possible. You can click the link in the description to give now, or visit clfuu.org/give for more information. We hope you will join us next week for another episode of The View.